like what are the type of doubts you have? Like then I can decide whether I need to clear them right now or if I can clear them later.
Madam,
Uh,
I have one doubt.
Yes, ma'am.
When we frame options, ma'am,
Yes, ma'am.
yeah, ma'am, I want to know what is overlapping of options. When I was reading the theory,
Ah,
so I came across this term overlapping of options. What does it mean,
okay,
ma'am?
okay. Suppose I have, do we have a facility? Is there a whiteboard here? Okay.
yes. Can you look at Microsoft Whiteboard? When you do share screen, there should be a Microsoft Whiteboard.
Share screen. No?
It's not visible here.
I can't see share screen here.
It's a square box with an arrow facing down next to the mute button.
Next to the mute button. Ha. Open share tray is there.
Then there's a whiteboard, Microsoft Whiteboard. You can use that.
In the share tray button, is it?
Can you see a Microsoft Whiteboard?
No, I can't.
Can you scroll down?
Okay. No, I can't. Okay, leave it. Let me share something else. Okay. Ma'am, I will explain this with an example, ma'am. I'm trying to get the
Yes,
example.
yes, ma'am. Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
yeah, okay, fine. I will start now. In between, when you are doing some activity, I will I'll check it and tell you, ma'am. So I will, can you, can you see my screen?
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So till now, all the workshops that were conducted before this were all about sharing knowledge from our side to you about question making, about assessments, the general principles, what needs to be taken care of, and what are the different types of assessments and everything. Now we are going to shift gears and go into a different mode where now from the perspective of you will be essentially doing our role, like the facilitator role. And from that point of view, what are the things you should learn and how you should conduct facilitation. So everything now will happen. You will have to imagine that you are the facilitator. From the point of view of facilitator, how should I look at these workshops? This workshop and the next two workshops are going to are intended to develop your skill as facilitator. Now this is the point we assume that you know everything about question making, about assessments, about the different types of questions and how to use them. So we are assuming that you are thorough with the subject knowledge. So when you're thorough with the subject knowledge, this is the point where you go and teach others, because if all the teachers have to follow these principles, in all the teachers in the state, so you will become the torch bearers now, and you will be the ambassadors of this good assessment development, and you will impart this knowledge to other teachers. So, what are the skills that you require for that are a different set of skills. So this workshop and the next two workshops are planned for that. So today the agenda is like, first will be the context setting, facilitating. The second session will be facilitating sessions for adult learners, how to facilitate sessions for adult learners, because you will be training teachers. And the third session will be how to facilitate a question review exercise and the discussions on question review. So there is the first and the second will be like mostly theoretical part and about learning itself, the science of learning and things. And the third one is something that you've already done in your second workshop. I think you've already done the question review exercise, and what are the characteristics of good questions, things like that. So it will be a reflection on the question review exercise and how you will conduct the question review exercise with your participants when you facilitate a session. Okay, so this will be the three broad areas that we will cover today. So context setting, what is the purpose of the workshop? What is the expectations, expected from you, and what are the expectations? And then what are the roles and responsibilities as a facilitator? So when we go into the purpose of the workshop, so the purpose of this workshop is to develop skills to create, manage, and facilitate a learner-centered environment to share knowledge about assessment development. So that is a broad objective. So if we achieve this objective, the things you should be able to do at the end of this 2-day workshop is to learn how to prepare sessions for teachers on assessment development, apply adult learning principles to facilitate learning sessions for teachers on assessment development, ensure that teachers gain confidence in the practice of creating and reviewing test questions, and evaluate learning sessions and facilitation techniques, and reflect on improvising the sessions. So the first one is like you should be like absolutely clear about how to plan these sessions, because the next two workshops are going to be all driven by you, like how you will actually demonstrate how you have prepared the lessons, and you will demonstrate whether you are using adult learning principles during the sessions. And ensure that teachers gain confidence, that we will know only from the feedback from the teachers, but this is an actual reflection of your confidence in practice of creating and reviewing test questions. So if you are absolutely confident, that much confidence will be transferred to your participants. And then finally is like, from the learning, from the sessions and the facilitation techniques, you reflect, you evaluate them, and reflect on how to improve these techniques and sessions. Okay, so these are the outcomes for learning outcomes for the workshop. So that is the context setting where the objectives and the outcomes have been clearly laid. So what is role reversal? As I told you, like in the beginning, that till now you were playing the role of a participant, and now you're transitioning into a role of a trainer and a facilitator. So the set of skills that a facilitator and a trainer should have are different, and they are also specialized skills and based on theories and concepts, just like assessment development also is based on theories and concepts. When you are transitioning into the role, what I would like you to do is like all these workshops you attended as a learner, use those experiences as learner and to impart skills to the teacher. So when you are facilitating a session for your teachers, you will actually have to dig into your experience as a learner from these workshops and see how you can use that to impart the knowledge. Also be, absolutely sure that you are good at all the assessment development practices, because when you are channeling your knowledge to the whole state as such, there should not be any gaps in understanding. So it should be seamless. So what you have learned and what you are going to teach have to be consistent. So that requires good mastery on the assessment development practices. And you should also be able, not only that you hold the knowledge, but also deliver the knowledge in a way that is in a very positive environment. So help your teachers acquire skills in assessment development practices, and also inspire them to inquire and research further. So that when true learning has happened, that inspiration to learn more, that actually tells like how well the sessions have gone. Any questions at this point in time? Okay. So, so keep in mind that you're transitioning into a trainer facilitator role, and your mindset, your thinking, everything should be from that point of view. Now, understanding facilitation. How is facilitation different from teaching? Okay, from these workshops and all, you also might have conducted workshops, or you might have attended other workshops. So you clearly will have a common sense view of how facilitation is different from actual teaching. But just to go through certain it's like a walkthrough of the concepts. Teaching is more teacher centered. So why we are going to do this is like, because you're going to now facilitate and not teach when you conduct the workshops. It is important to know your audience, like they are not going to be students with whom you are familiar with teaching. These are adult learners. So it's important to know the psychology of the kind of learners you will have. They will be almost like peers for you, right? Because you're also a teacher and they will also be teachers. So you should be cognizant about the psychological factors here. So teaching is more teacher-centered, and facilitation is learner-centered. To sum it up, we can say teacher-centered teaching is kind of a sage on the stage mode, like somebody who stands on the stage and delivers the lecture. Whereas facilitation is something we can call the person a guide on the side, like he facilitates. The facilitation is not overpowering the participants with your knowledge, but guiding your participants and sharing your expertise with them is more of facilitation. So just think, when you are conducting your sessions, reflect and think, am I being a sage on the stage or a guide on the side? So it's a mnemonic for you to quickly reflect on what you're doing. Teaching is more content driven. So you have your textbooks and all those things, and there's a lot of learning material. Whereas facilitation is more participation driven. It's like everything that happens in the facilitator should be driven by the participants. Okay. So while teaching, you need to be a subject matter expert. In facilitation, you have to be a subject matter expert, but also it's very important to be a delivery expert, because how you deliver your knowledge, how you share your skills matters a lot when you're teaching, when you're doing facilitating. Otherwise, in teaching, at least, like you give an exam and you find out whether your knowledge has been transferred. Whereas in facilitation, there is no like a unit test or a chapter test or a summative test for you to know. So the more engagement from the participants tells that your facilitation is going well. Teaching involves a lot of reading, listening, and remembering, whereas facilitation involves a lot of doing and reflecting. This I think is straightforward. Teaching prioritizes concepts and theories, and facilitation prioritizes experiences and connections. So these are the key differences between teaching and facilitating. So while facilitating, the key thing to know is like there is this studies which conclude like when people listen to a lecture, only 20% of what they listen kind of registers. They remember only 20%. If something is in the visual mode, they remember 40% of it. But when it is in the discovery mode, which is like the facilitation mode, 80% gets transferred. See, so it's important that to let the participants discover the concepts themselves, and you as a facilitator be on the sidelines, observe, guide, provide inputs, and ensure that they have a positive environment to imbibe the skills. So at the same time, you should remember that though facilitation sounds like a more casual than teaching, like less formal than teaching, it is definitely a deliberate, planned effort. So okay, I'm being a guide on the side doesn't mean that I'm taking a very casual, informal approach to it. There's a lot of preparation that needs to be done. You have to plan the activities, what activities will engage your participants, how to build discussions. These are all planned effort. There is nothing impromptu about it that you go there and take. It's not like taking students on a field trip or something like that. So there's a lot of effort in planning, and which has to be done in a easy, pleasant, and effective manner. So even the process planning, even the delivery planning has to be very conscious. And the facilitation is a way of working with people which enables and empowers them. So this is very key. Enable and empowering rather than teaching them how to do it. So it's kind of a participatory mode for them to carry out a task or perform an action. Then the third key thing is like the facilitator does not perform the task, but uses certain skills. So here the key word is certain skills. What are the skills that you need to make the individual or the group of participants perform the task or learn a skill without you having to show how to do it? So it's more like a anchoring method. You question them, you probe them, and make them come out with the ideas, and kind of latch on to a set of learning principles and learn the skill that you intend to teach. So a teacher would easily demonstrate how a certain task is done, but a facilitator kind of guides them into discovering themselves. Okay, so the key thing is like role reversal, where you're not being a learner, you are becoming a facilitator. And what is facilitation? These two are very important to know for the next for tomorrow's workshop as well as for the next two workshops, because it will all be driven by you. I will take a back seat, and you will demonstrate how you will be facilitating the sessions. Okay. Okay. So before we go further into the session, like now that it's very clear that you're shifting into the role of a facilitator, and you will be teaching teachers who are adult learners, And so you have played a role of a teacher in a classroom, and you've been a learner in a workshop. Now you're going to facilitate workshops for adult learners who are teachers. So now, since you've already taught kids in your school for so many years, I don't know if any of you have taught adult learners, have conducted workshops for adults. Has anyone done that here in this group?
Yes, ma'am, I have done.
Tell me, ma'am. Tell me your experience, ma'am.
Ma'am, actually, it was workshops on subject content.
Huh,
Uh, uh, and all the teachers were very learned ones. They
huh,
were having good grammar skills and language skills.
huh,
Uh, what I did, I never gave my knowledge to them.
huh,
I just gave them ideas, and we used to discuss on them,
huh.
and I used to get examples from them and ask them to even perform how in activity mode, how will you specially teach this kind of concept in classroom. So we
Okay,
used to have a lot of discussion and activities also in the
okay, okay, okay. Yeah, yeah. How many participants were there, ma'am?
ma'am, they used to be 40 to 30, 30 to 40, yeah.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Nice, ma'am. How
But
was your
it was,
experience? How was your experience as a
ma'am,
facilitator?
it was very good experience.
Oh, okay, okay. So, okay, that's nice to know that somebody has already done a workshop for adult learners. Anybody else has anything to share about any experience as workshop facilitators?
Yes, I have.
Who is
This is
this?
Amit. Amit.
Amit sir. Yeah, sir. Tell me, sir.
Actually, it is a quite a mixed experience.
Ah,
They were, as Rashri ma'am said, that they were they are quite learned, they are experienced, but at the same time, they are not ready to learn. Means they are just have become stagnant in terms of knowledge. They do not they needs only motivation. They were not motivated actually. Okay, they are not
okay,
ready. Okay, we have so much experience. Why do we need to learn these things? We know all these things. So
okay,
it was
okay.
a difficult part to motivate them to bring
Acha,
in the yes. So it was
okay.
quite a mixed experience for me.
Acha, okay, okay, thanks, ma'am. Yeah, I've seen that whenever workshops are thrust upon people, you find people are less motivated. But if there is self-selection, like suppose in an organization, like no, you say, okay, this workshop is going to be conducted, and people who would like to attend the workshop sign up. When people self-select themselves for a workshop, the engagement level is very different than saying, oh, you have to attend the workshop. So when they are like asked to attend a workshop, I feel the motivation is very less because they feel that they know everything, and there's nothing more to learn.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is just I think this poll was given to all of you, and I just want to gauge, the how much representative this poll is for the English groups. Okay, so can you read the question? Which of these, according to you, is a challenge in training adults? Okay, and the four options are poor recall skills, lack of motivation, inability to relate to personal experience, and interference of prior subject knowledge. Can each of you tell what do you think is the main challenge? Amit, sir, what do you think is the main challenge?
For me, lack of motivation.
Okay, you just mentioned that in your experiences.
Yes, I'm just telling you my own experience.
Okay, okay, okay. Others, Garima ma'am?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. I think Amit sir is also right. Lack of motivation is one of the biggest reason. And another reason which I consider is interference of prior subject knowledge also.
Okay.
Because many a times it happens that when the trainees are of having more experience, teaching experience than the trainer. So at that
Ah.
time, they sometimes think that, okay, she's too younger, how she can tell us anything. Whatever we know, that is sufficient and that is more correct.
Yeah, yeah. I can understand where they come from, though. Yeah.
Yes,
Hare Ram Joshi sir, what do you think?
Actually,
Yeah, tell me, sir.
really, this is a challenge. It is very challenging to motivate the adult learners. Actually,
Hmm.
uh, the both these things, the lack of motivation and interference of prior subject knowledge,
Hmm. Hmm.
both are, I think, 50-50%. Both are responsible. Both are real challenge before us. Actually, they think that why all these trainings are happening.
Hmm.
Why? I have been teaching for so many a long time.
Hmm. Hmm.
Even then, again, the same training. So first, one thing is motivation, and when they get motivated, then they start. Actually, if you are trying to share something, so without listening to you till the end, they their prayer subject knowledge erupt in
Hmm.
between, and they begin to argue with
Hmm.
the facilitators also. So
Oh,
these two are the most important challenges while facilitating adult learners.
okay. Okay. Thank you, sir, for sharing that. Uh, Mukesh, sir, what do you think?
Yes, ma'am. Well, I don't have any experience of facilitating as such, but
Ah,
still I would go with the second option. I think lack of motivation
ah,
and a little bit for poor recall skills, because it depends on the age factor also, that those adults who are being trained, how
ah.
old are they, or what are their circumstances. So it may also influence a little bit.
Okay. 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 So the age thing can affect their recall skills, you're saying, with their memory skills and
G.
yeah. Okay. 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 Then Rashmi, ma'am.
Ma'am, enough has been said about lack of motivation and interference of prior knowledge. I will also go with the first one because I am having this condition with myself, poor recall skills. It happens with me a lot,
Uh,
and I have to put efforts. I have to
okay.
take special care before
Okay.
coming
Okay.
to a workshop. Yeah, I have to remember this and that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Okay, let's see. This poll was conducted, I think, with all the subject matter experts and the assessment expert. This is the result. Can you see the result? So there were 52 responses. So 38% picked up in a interference of prior subject knowledge. So I think 4 of the 5 responses picked up prior knowledge interference as the second biggest challenge. And the 28% is lack of motivation. So I think this is very reflective of representative of what the larger group thinks. The two main challenges are lack of motivation and interference of prior subject knowledge. So if that is the case, suppose you get bunch of teachers like for you who are who are not motivated. How would you approach them? Like, what is the approach you will take to motivate them? If that is the thing that you feel like the first day you enter into the workshop and you show the agenda and they're all like completely unengaged and unmotivated, what do you think will motivate them, in your personal opinion?
Uh, according to me, ma'am, first of all, when we tell them the purpose, why the training or why the workshop is being done, what is the necessity as being updating the knowledge is the foremost thing in any of the profession. Unless you update yourself, you will be lag behind and you will be left behind. And in that way, one day you will be out of the race. So if you want to be updated, it is very necessary to get trainings and to be updated with the latest knowledge. So whenever we tell them the purpose, and secondly, if we keep on praising them and keep on encouraging them that you can also do, you are not as old as you are thinking, your knowledge is also good, but it needs some polishing. And I think these things can work to motivate the adult learners.
Okay, ma'am. Nice. That so the latest knowledge, right? I will come to that updating knowledge and latest knowledge. I want to hear from everybody. Then probably we'll pick up some discussion points because it's very critical. Like it's if you have to spend 3 hours in a workshop, facilitating a workshop, and you think that 90% of them are not motivated, and that is the first thing that we need to tackle, because without tackling that, you just go and do you just go deliver the material and come, you won't have achieved the purpose. So let's hear from others also, like Amit sir, what do you think will help in motivating people?
I partially agree with Karma ma'am. She is absolutely right that we need to motivate them. But for motivating them, we have to first design our pre-test or diagnosis assessment in a way so that they come to know that okay, they are lacking some knowledge. So so the prior knowledge or prior subject knowledge they have, they will come to realize that okay, they are still lacking something that they need to polish. So we need to design our pre-test or diagnosis assessment in a way that they realize they are underskilled. They need to motivate themselves. So they will then realize that okay, now they are going to get something new. So they will come to know the relevance of that particular training or workshop. So this is one of the ways that we can use to motivate them.
Okay, good, very nice. Others like Joshi sir, can I hear from you?
Actually, my experience with the teachers, because most of the teachers here taking this workshop have been working as state level resource person and district level resource person. So my personal experience is that if I have got 40 teachers in a class, then only 5 to 10 teachers I found not motivated only. So most of the time I just ignore them if they are not interested. One more thing, teachers are motivated when they think that this training or the facilitator is going to give them something new, which is going to help them and their learner at their respective schools, something useful. Then they really listen very carefully. And after completion of that, so many times I found I got compliments that today this 1 hour or this an hour was fruitful. After in the evening, during the whole day training went on, so many teacher master trainers were giving trainings, but I got compliments that sir, that period was fruitful, and their faces, their expressions, body language were expressing everything. They were happy, they were smiling. So that is the one thing, they should be given something new that is going to help them in their career, in their professional workplaces.
Okay, I'm noting down everything. So who else has not this thing? Amit ji has said, Garima ma'am, Mukesh sir, what do you think will help in increasing the motivation quotient in the session?
I think not only before the training, I think during the training also we can implement something, just to gain the attention or interest of the trainees, of our trainees. So it may also help us to motivate them. Okay, sometimes what happens that with a blank, with a blank mind, they come into the training, but as the facilitator start or proceeds with the training, then it also gains their interest at that time also. So I think it may do good for the to make our training more successful.
Okay, okay. So during the training, like we have to increase the engagement factor, you're saying?
Ji.
Okay, okay. Rashri ma'am, what has helped you?
Yes, ma'am, I agree with my team, whatever comments they have been giving here. Uh, what I personally feel, personality of facilitator is also important. His
Okay.
behavior aspect is also important here. As Amit sir said, ki designing your pre-test and is important because people will know they are lacking in, they don't know this new things. For example, they don't know about assessment or how to design new questions, for example. And what I think that it's a basic principle of communication. Your communication skills do matter here. Because people want to hear what they want to hear. So you have to make them listen and impart your knowledge or your concepts in such a way that they feel that, yeah, they wanted to hear this and they have come for it. Yeah, so we have to, yes, as Mukesh sir say, engagement or making them interest, creating their interest is very important. And I think we should we can design activity also to break the ice and to start our facilitation. Yeah,
okay, okay, okay. Did Pankaj sir join, or I can't see the participants? Is Pankaj sir here? Has he joined this?
Yes, ma'am. He is visible on the screen.
Yeah, he's here.
Pankaj sir?
He's gone up on hold. Hang on. I think he's on another call.
Oh,
he's not available right now, but he's on the meeting.
Okay, okay. So I'm hearing from all of you that I think the key thing to motivate is to establish what is it that you are bringing new to them that they already don't know, right? So most of them, when they first of all, they assume that they know everything. So suppose I say, okay, this is on the session is on question making. If I say that, many teachers will say, oh, I've been doing questions for like so many years, so what is there to learn? So distinguishing between what they know and what they don't know, that is very key. So when you're planning your agenda, each item in the agenda should be something, oh, I want to listen to this. It should bring in the hooking factor there. Okay, I want to listen to this, I don't know that. So the agenda items in your facilitation slide, in your session slide, should hook the attention of the participants, where they realize that, oh, this is a gap in my learning that I need to fill. So the need to learn, the what you're going to teach or what you're going to share, there should be a demand for that in the mind of the participants. That is very key. I think Amit sir, said that it has to be a diagnostic test will help in bringing out that the lack of their learning in that particular area where the facilitation is happening. So if a diagnostic test can bring that out, they will be more convinced. You'll have a more convinced audience. You'll have a more convinced participants that their need to learn is there. And if they don't upskill, their learning, then they might, as Garima ma'am said, that they might get out of the race, and they will lose an opportunity to update their knowledge. I think that is very key. I think even I feel that, you know, what new are you bringing? Even if you say question making, it should not sound like, oh, what question making, big deal. It's not should be like that. It should be like, you know, the signs of question making, you know, how to review questions. These are things that they won't be familiar about. So, so when you know these are teachers, and when you know teachers create questions as a, like, you know, their daily bread and butter, that is, then you should know what is it that you are adding value to that. You're not going to say, oh, I am going to, you know, tell you how to make questions. You are going to tell them how to make strong, valid, reliable questions. That is where the unique proposition you are bringing in. So when you design your agenda, please ensure that, you know, it is talking to a need and talking to a lack that they have. Okay. So we'll go to the second question. Which of these, according to you, is a key to successful training? These are the options: being organized. I think the second option is being engaged, I think, if I'm right. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. And making sessions relevant and knowing the audience. Can I get a quick pulse from you as to which one do you think that is important? I'll go with the reverse order. Rajshri ma'am, what do you think?
Ma'am, I will go with the third one, making sessions relevant.
Relevance, okay, relevant. And Mukesh sir?
I think being organized, the first one.
Organized. Okay. In the reverse order, Joshi sir?
Actually, I yesterday went for प्रशिक्षण में सबको ध्यानपूर्वक सुनना. So that was my response yesterday.
Being engaged. Engaging them.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we have Amit sir.
Yes, I just went with the third option.
Which
Making
is relevance.
sessions relevant.
Okay. Garima ma'am.
Ma'am, I would go with दर्शकों को जानना, knowing the audience, and second one प्रशिक्षण में सबका ध्यानपूर्वक सुनना.
Knowing audience and being making engaging, making the sessions engaging. Yeah. Okay. Let's see what the results were for the whole group. So making sessions relevant was the biggest key factor. Then we have 19%, which is, yeah, it's more or less, that's what all of you have mentioned here. Engagement and being relevant, the sessions being engaging and relevancy. Okay, this is not to say that the others are not important. As you go into the sessions more and more, you will realize why being organized, you know, is a very key thing, because if the sessions are not planned well, it might become it might start well, you know, it might start with an engaging factor and all, but you know, when you run out of when it hits a point where you don't know what the next thing should be, like, it's a very great risk without not planning a session. Like when we the backend plan these workshops, we do a minute by minute planning. Like we are doing when we do CBSE workshops, CBSE actually tells us we want minute by minute planning. Who is saying what in each minute? It's that level of planning is being done. So it's very important that you know, it needs to be organized and planned. We'll go to the next question. Again, it says, again, another set of options, same question, interactivity, hands-on practice, reward for active participation, and setting of high expectation. This, I will just show the results. So out of the 52 responses, the biggest one was making the sessions interactive. This goes with the previous one of making your sessions engaging. So, you can be a very well organized workshop, but you can have this minute to minute planning and everything. But if the sessions are not engaging, then like your minute to minute planning is ineffective, like ineffectual, like it carries no weight. So, all these factors play a big role. And also, like when you are a learner or when you are a participant in a workshop, there's not much of your personality that comes through. But when you're a facilitator, as Rajshri ma'am said, that no, communication is very important. How your personality, how you carry yourself in a workshop is very important. Like the level of confidence you show, the level of engagement you show, like and whether you are comfortable with the subject. So confidence means like in the middle of the night you wake me up and ask a question on assessment, you should be able to do it. That is the level of comfort you should have with assessment. And when you have that level of comfort, when you have the level of confidence, the learners are more confident that they can learn from you. And when you make it engaging, it's like a bullseye. Like it cannot miss a target. Okay. We go to the next question. This is a fairly simpler question. Adult learners are more self-directed and motivated than young learners. I think this is a very very straightforward question. 73% said yes. So when we are saying that adult learners are more motivated and self-directed, we are talking about adult learners who have chosen to attend a workshop, right? Like if somebody is forced to attend a workshop, this will not apply. So even when it comes to an adult learner situation, you need to analyze, are these people, they've not come here as a self-selected entity, but somebody else has selected them to attend this workshop. So that is where you need to, tell them, that is where the motivation factor comes in. That gap you need to fill in by showing them why they have been selected, what is the purpose of it, and the lasting impact. Another thing we missed out in motivating is to show them, demonstrate how this workshop is going to impact a wider society. That is very key. Not only that, you're filling a lack in their knowledge, but also filling a need for the wider population. As a teacher, they are serving a entire state, the children of the entire state, and the learning outcomes depend on their learning. So to connect the workshop to a larger goal is very key. So when you're trying to motivate, also show them that larger picture, what you're intending to achieve by the workshop. Okay. Now the last question. It says maturity and profound life experiences are some of the factors that make adult learners less open-minded. So 63% of them have said yes. I think this also reflects our this thing on the more experience they have, the more rigid they become, and the more unwilling they are to learn. So how do you break that rigidity and how to make them more adaptive to learning? These are skills you need to develop as a facilitator. Now, you might not have thought about, at those angles. Maybe people who have conducted the workshops will have an idea, but the lack of motivation also comes from those aspects that there's nothing I need to learn, and this also comes the attitude also comes from a view that a subject itself cannot evolve. Like if a very experienced person who's been teaching English for a long time, they have a rigid view not only about their knowledge but also about the subject itself. They think that reading comprehension, how can reading comprehension be different from 10 years to this year? But actually reading comprehension skills The definition of skills have changed with, now it has become, CBSE is moving to a competency-based assessment. Now, what is competency-based assessment? How are the assessments right now we are having different from competency-based? So you have to inculcate this attitude that a subject itself can evolve. How a subject is viewed in the 21st century is very different from how it's been viewed 10 decades ago. So being able to convince them in that matter also is very important. Any questions so far? These are like we are discussing the poll results and that stuff. Because we'll be moving into theory now. Can I? One thing about, I think who said that? Mukesh sir said that during training you have to gain attention and also have icebreaker. Actually, ma'am said have some icebreakers. So let's have a small energizer and see like what Deepa, can you think of any fun activity or energizers? And Deepa is busy.
No. I'm thinking. Hang on. Something to do online, no?
No, not online. We can also ask them to type it in the chat. You can think of maybe you can plan one later. I can. Let me try something. You can do next probably after an hour. It's the time now.
It's 12.
Okay. So wait, let me stop sharing. You can still see my screen, right?
No, not anymore.
No? Okay. So let's do a small icebreaker. Okay, where's the chat? I'm going to type a question in the chat and I want all of you to answer. Can you see the question in the chat?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Can you all type one answer, like what superhuman skill would you like to have?
Are we really going to get it? Or
If I had the power, maybe the superhuman skill I should have is to grant everybody their superhuman skill. Yeah. Can you type your answers? Okay, we've got one. Oh, okay. What is this? Oh, okay, invisibility.
My answer is not, it's not being published, like it's not coming there. It's not visible.
You have to press enter, ma'am, after typing it.
I did, but still I don't know what's the.
What is your answer, ma'am? I'll tell. I will type it.
Ma'am, I want to become invisible and fly.
And fly?
Yeah, I want to become invisible and fly, both the qualities together.
What? Okay. Ma'am, you are very, very ambitious. Okay, invisibility. Deepa also wants invisibility. Joshi sir? Mukesh sir?
Actually, I am unable to type. Where to type? I am unable to find that place actually. Chat,
There is a
where is chat is
conversation.
not visible.
There is a conversation, this thing, you click on that conversation.
Conversation. I have got only not finding that.
You can see that
So may I
bubble.
help you? Sir, may I help you?
Yes. Yes, sure.
Just click once on your screen. Just once. Okay. Then
Yes.
on the top of the screen, there will be a notification, English workshop. Beside it, there will be a box of message. It will appear over there. Just click once on the screen and these three options will be there.
I have clicked once on my screen and I found nothing.
English
I found
workshop is
only, it is written that meeting 57, 24, 9 attendees and 2 people, drawing of 2 people and plus.
in between those there is a box, a small box. 2 lines are there in that box.
Sir, that's balloon shaped.
Might be,
Can
I
you see
think
a balloon
refresh
shape?
nahi hai. That is why I am unable to find them. Refreshed. That option is not being found by me. वो नहीं है, अभी मिल नहीं रहा.
Let me share my screen and tell you where it is like.
Actually, I have seen you the screenshot.
Sir, can you see my screen? Joshi sir, can you see my screen?
Yeah, yes.
What do you see in my screen? Can you see recording going on?
Meeting chat.
You can see the chat
and
window.
Recording.
Recording, and you can see the mic button and the speech here. Hide conversation. This one conversation I'm clicking.
Actually, this option is not visible.
Oh,
this option is not visible.
You bring your cursor down on the screen. Just move your cursor anywhere on the screen. It should appear.
Actually, I am using my mobile actually. So.
Oh, okay.
That is why this option is not being seen.
Sir, Hariram sir, I have sent you a screenshot. So just see that on WhatsApp. Can you see it?
Yes.
So the drawing of 2 people and the English workbook, there is a box between those 2 things.
Such box was there when I used to attend the British Council trade.
Now it is
but
invisible.
Today, actually, that option is not. That option is actually visible on my screen.
Okay.
Reason
Instead of us,
bhi ho sakta hai.
that app has got that power of invisibility. I think you should try to reconnect. I think just try to reconnect yourself. It might work.
Okay, sir, what is your answer? Read the mind. Oh, wow. that is really a very, very powerful and very scary skill, actually. But do you really want to read the mind? Don't you think like one's own mind itself is too much to read?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's wait for Joshi sir to rejoin. Joshi sir?
He's trying to reconnect it.
Okay. Like he's joined. It says it's joined.
He has joined.
Joshi sir, can you hear us?
Yes. Now I have got a sign.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Chat box.
Should I type my question again? Can you see the previous chat?
What is one superhuman skill?
Are you able to type, sir?
So the question was, what is one superhuman skill you would like to have?
Yes. It's too much of a suspense for us now.
Problem solving skill.
Should I type it?
I have typed, but it is not being sent out now.
I don't know why it's happening with the Garima mom also had this problem, I think, no? Not able to enter
Yes,
the
Rehan,
no problem.
I have told the problem solving skill.
problem solving skill.
Yes.
You think, sir, that is a superhuman skill?
Each and every problem, if I will be able to, then
Okay,
that
okay.
will
I
be
was
superhuman.
any problem, like
Yes.
very. So many of you have said invisible and like to fly. I think
Invisibleness, this is only a fantasy superhuman skill. Problem solving is really real one. Actually, I am not praising myself actually. So, because this world is full of problems.
okay, okay. So you want to solve the problems of the world, not just problem solving, like not like a mathematical reasoning problem solving.
Yes.
Yeah. So last week, 1 week ago, we had workshops for CBSE teachers, and we asked the same question, and everybody said invisible, want to fly, invisible, want to fly. And there was one teacher who said, I want this ability to be with all my children at the same time, like because it's a COVID situation and the kids are not coming to school. She said, I want to be with every child at the same time, simultaneously. Like, I want that power. Like, it is the opposite of an invisible, wish to be everywhere. Thought like that was very interesting coming from a teacher. Because many teachers were saying, oh, I want a break from my students. And it was, yeah, okay. It's nice to see that, invisibility and flying are like the most desired wishful wishes that humans have. Okay, I'll go back to the session. We have another 1.5 hours. Yeah, let's get past the session. Let me open. Any questions so far? Am I still sharing my window? Just give me 1 minute. I want to pull up. Garima ma'am was asking what is overlapping options, right? I want to just.
Ma'am, that was my question. Yeah.
Who's that? Rajshri ma'am?
Yeah, ma'am. Ma'am, actually, I was going through the theory last night, and I came. Even I got one comment from you in the review also that your options are overlapping here. So I couldn't understand it properly what it meant.
Yeah, I will just. I want to just show that. I am just pulling out a example of that. Just give me 1 minute. I can't find that paper. I don't know why. This is something we. Okay, I'm going to share. Can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so this is a class 12 paper from CBSE. So they asked us to review the paper. So if you see, this is a passage on child labor. Okay, so governments have been promising the eradication of child labor and all those things. It's a piece on like how it's not done and things like that. So if you go to this question, right, first question, our government promises to uproot drug abuse, dowry system. So if you look at 3 and 4, right, 3 and 4 are kind of overlapping options. So if I can interpret child labor as a child abuse.
Yes, yeah.
Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Right? So it becomes an overlapping option. So actually the passage is talking about child labor, but if some student picks up child abuse, will they be wrong?
No, not at all. It will be also a correct answer.
It will also be correct answer, right? So this problem comes when you have overlapping options. So when child abuse can be interpreted as child labor, it also becomes a correct answer. So there are 2 correct answers here. Right? So you cannot penalize a child for not picking up what you want the child to answer. Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Does this answer your question, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay, fine. Now I will go to any other questions anybody has. Like I know I've been doing a lot of review and some of them have directly pinged me and asked what do you mean by this. But if there are others who did not understand my comment or in case I have given you like conflicting comments or something, you can clarify it here. So anybody has any other questions on my
Yes,
review?
I have a bit doubt.
Tell me, sir.
Amit, this is actually it is emphasized that there should be some distractors so that we can identify the distinct knowledge of the student. He is able to. But sometimes what happens that the distractors become very close to the correct answers.
Yeah, yeah, it should not be.
So,
It should not be.
so it means it becomes overlapping of questions. Oh,
Hmm.
sorry, overlapping of alternatives. So
Correct,
how to
correct.
distinguish these two things? Means, is it a good distractor or is it just overlapping?
So it depends, like, know how close it's it. Like, if it's
Yes.
if somebody can defend it, like how if somebody can defend that child labor is a form of child abuse, if they can defend it, then it will become correct. So we need to. So what we need to do is, suppose I just wish I can.
That is okay. That is clear example of child abuse. But sometimes what happens is that I am unable to distinguish between the closest answer and the distinct answer. Okay,
If you
this is the
have an
answer, but this
example,
might be the answer. This is the correct answer, and the B option might be the answer. It is not the answer. I have
no,
put that as distractor, but people think or the comment is like that. Okay, there this might be an option, so remove it. So that becomes difficult to identify.
so the one way to do it is what I usually do to ensure that it is not the correct option is like, suppose I have a question like this, okay,
Because we are putting distractors, means distractors means the closest, nearest to the correct answer.
correct, yeah, yeah, I understood what you're saying. So, suppose, let me open the same this thing. So what I usually do is like to understand that the wrong option is completely wrong. Suppose I take this question E. Okay, the carpet industry employs children because they. Okay, so usually we ask people to normally assessment development we ask them to write it in a question format. Okay, so we say like if imagine that there is a blank here and you, so when we usually do it, we would have asked the question as this is how we would have asked the question. We say we need closed stem, so we would ask this question. Now, when we ask this question, the better thing is to turn it around like a statement like this. The carpet industry employs children because, then you complete it with each option. Okay, make 4 statements for the question. The carpet industry employs children because they have nimble fingers. That is one option. And because they need money for their education. Then you go and check in the passage which of these is validated and which is not validated by the passage, which is not supported by the passage. If you have an example of where I have given a comment, I can pull that question up and show. Do you have any question code or something? Yoshi sir, who asked the question?
Yes, Amit.
Amit ji, do you have any particular question code which I can check and answer?
No, I'm not getting right now. But that is actually not regarding to particular question. It's happens with me when I try to make a distractor. So I feel that okay, this is distractor, but people might think okay, this is also means people might argue okay, this can be the correct.
So you make
I
it into a statement only. You make it into a statement, the option as a statement itself, and just check if any place in the passage kind of supports that. If you say no, the passage doesn't support that statement, you can argue that no, it's not supported by the passage. There is no evidence in the passage that says that this is correct. Maybe if you can, I can show better examples tomorrow. I made a note of it. So tomorrow's session, I can.
Ma'am, one more request.
Yes.
When you just show those examples, so please tell one example apart from comprehension. Except comprehension, there should be one more question about that. Not related to
Comparison,
comprehension.
what does it mean, comparison?
Comprehension. Okay. Means you will tell some example related to the comprehension, such examples. Reading comprehension. Paragraph. Okay.
Reading
Except
comprehension.
yes. Except reading comprehension, just put an example from other topics as well.
Oh, reading. Other than reading comprehension, you like writing and grammar. You are saying grammar and vocabulary.
Yes. Some
Okay.
something from that also.
Sure, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other question anybody has?
Yes, ma'am. I also have a query.
Tell me,
Ma'am, many times I have seen that whenever we give the last option as none of them, or sometimes we give the option all of them. So you say that don't give these options. Ma'am, why so? I don't understand the reason.
Okay. That is a question. I've seen that even in CBSE papers, every second question had all of the above or none of the above. So I'll tell you why that's not a good practice. Just give me a second. Yeah, can you see me a screen? Can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so there are four instances where, four examples here. One has all of the above as a correct answer. Another one has all of the above as not one of the correct answers, correct answer. And we have one situation where none of the above is a correct answer, and another situation where none of the above is not a correct answer. Okay, let's look at each of these instances. Okay. Now, look at the first question. Let's ignore the actual content of the questions in the context of the questions. Okay. Suppose there is a question and all of the above is not a correct answer. Suppose a child is checking the answers. Okay. The child goes to A and says, okay, this is correct. And then the child goes to B and says, okay, this is correct. Does the child have to check C to take D? Does the child have to check C, option C?
No.
No.
Right? Because
No.
there is no option which says A and B, they are forced to choose D. Right? So what happens to C? Then C nobody will look at. So C becomes a non-functional distractor. That's what we call it as non-functional distractor. No child will choose. Like it will become an easy question. If kids can find out 2 out of the 3 is correct. So even if the kid goes backwards, if they check C is correct, B is correct, they don't have to check A. So we are reducing the number of distractors to 3. Understood? This situation is clear? Why all of the above is not a good answer? Now let's go to a question where all of the above is a wrong answer. Now, what the child has to do here, this is all backed by research and there are research papers written on this. Suppose a child gets a question like this, where all of the above is not a correct answer. In the mind, the child has to jump a lot of mental hoops, which is like, no, they are actually checking, okay, A is correct, but B and C are not correct. B is correct, but A and C are not correct. C is correct, but A and B are not correct. So the number of cognitive loops that they have, the mental loops they have to go through, the hoops, I mean, the jumps they have to make is many. So this question automatically becomes a difficult question. Not because of poor reading comprehension skill, but because the design of the question itself is such that it demands more attention from the reader. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so we have seen that all of the above is not a good, correct answer, is also not a good answer option to have when it is incorrect. Now let's go to none of the above. When you're giving a question as none of the above, okay, the child is taking, okay, A is not correct, B is not correct, C is not correct, okay, none of the above. But actually, have you learned by, if the child has chosen the correct answer, have you actually learned anything about the student's knowledge? So, where the question is saying which of these is found in the hand glider, which means there is something in the hand glider. Do we know that the child knows what is in the hand glider? We don't know.
No.
Yeah. So now now go to a situation where none of the above is not a correct answer. Here also it becomes like a mental gymnast the child has to do. Okay. It actually becomes which of these. It's a very little complex thinking that is required. No, this is there, but these two are not there. So again, the mental hoops the child has to jump through are many. So, according to research studies, they say that it's better not to use these as options. Avoid them unless you want to test some misconception. I'll tell you where this is valid. These are valid in when you're testing math and science concepts. I will share. Let me. I think we are running out of time. We have another 1 hour. Okay, that's okay. Just let me just clarify this because it's very important.
Ma'am, I have one more query.
Yes, ma'am.
For example, if in any of the passage, say 3 qualities of something is given, and if we have given A as first quality, B as second quality, C as third quality, and in D we have given all of the above. Now, suppose if we don't, if we want to avoid giving the option all of the above, and if we give any one quality there as option, and rest of the 3 we frame of ourselves distractors, and so won't they be vague? I mean, won't they be just impossible things? Then also it would be very easy for a student to pick the correct answer, and he may think that when 2 more qualities are given in the option or in the passage, then why only one quality is mentioned in this question? Why only one answer is here? So in that
so usually if there are more than one qualities that can be ascribed to a character, what we usually say is which of these is one of the characteristics of the of this person.
Okay.
Okay. Let me share this. These are workshops we did for. No, I can't find it here. Actually, I made another. I'll tomorrow I'll pull up the slide as to where this none of the above and all of the above are valid. I will cover that tomorrow.
Okay, ma'am.
Any other question?
Yes, ma'am. I have one question, and
Yes,
it's a technical one
Yes,
regarding the anatomy of the question.
Huh.
As I was going through, ma'am, it was given to us when we are framing MCQs. We should keep in mind about direction, stimulus, and stem. So the question just which you showed us just right now, I think all the 3 things were combined in that one, because these questions are going to be there in our facilitation and people will be asking us, okay, ma'am,
You
What
mean to
is
say,
the anatomy of the question here? Yeah, in
so
MCQ.
you want me to revise that slide?
Yes, ma'am, please.
Yeah, okay. So I think that comes tomorrow. So I will include that tomorrow. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions from anybody? I've got 5 questions now.
Excuse me, ma'am. One last question.
No, ma'am.
Ma'am?
Please don't say last question.
Now, this one is definitely last question. Now, I'm not going to ask any other
No,
question.
ma'am. Please feel free to ask questions, ma'am. Like I'll be more than happy to help because I'm reviewing questions, and when I review questions, I'm thinking maybe I should like do a, reinforcing, workshop to this thing. So yeah, please tell me, ma'am. Go ahead.
Ma'am, actually, this is regarding my one of the fear, a concern. Ma'am, all the PPTs which you used right from the beginning of our workshops for this state assessment cell. So, are we going to get? I mean, I request to get those PPTs so that we can also take guidance and guidelines from those PPTs. Can we use those PPTs as it is, or if we prepare our PPTs for the training of the teachers? So will we get those PPTs just to get idea?
I have no idea, ma'am. I think the Bharti will be able to answer that. So, I usually after the workshop I send the PPTs to her. So I don't know what is the agreement between the parties there. So I think they will expect you to come up with your own PPTs, and we will be there to help you on that. So that is also a learning this thing. We are not expecting you to be experts straight away and create perfect PPT. So that is also a learning. So the next 2 sessions will be about how to improve your skills on like doing the PPTs and things like that. So you should not be concerned about that. We will definitely be
We'll
making.
prepare our own PPTs. But what I think is that your PPTs will serve as a model that while preparing our PPTs, we'll get some ideas from your PPTs. Definitely, we'll prepare our own PPTs. But just
I think they should be available as a resource somewhere. Look, maybe you can check with Bharti and get it done. I don't know what the procedure is for that. So
thank you.
okay, ma'am. So I'll go back to the session. I think we have another hour left, and it's okay. Can you see my screen, Deepa?
Yes, but it's blank.
Okay, yeah. So these were the polls we discussed. So now we talked about how facilitation is different from teaching. We also need to know a little bit of theory on how teaching adults is different from teaching students, right? Like so there are particular terms. I'm sure you have come across these terms: andragogy and pedagogy. Both are derived from Greek words. Like andragogy, both in andragogy and pedagogy, ago means guide. However, usually like when people refer to pedagogy, they don't say, okay, theories and practices in teaching children. They just tell like theories and practices in teaching. So it's used like a very umbrella term, pedagogy. So only like, people who teach adult learners are very commonly use the difference between pedagogy and andragogy. It's important to know what drives the teaching in adults and what drives the teaching in children. Let's look at some differences. There is nothing for you to practice in this or anything, but you need to be aware of it, and you need to be well versed also in. If somebody asks you like as an evaluator to ask you to tell what are the differences, you should be able to tell. So it's more about being literate in these things. So the difference between andragogy and pedagogy, what happens is like at the first level, it indicates the learner's maturity and autonomy to perform. So there is as you go from pedagogy to andragogy, you assume that the learner has sufficient maturity and sufficient autonomy that is required for this learning process. So that arrow kind of increases. Now, when that arrow increases, what you're assuming is that instructor control and co-structuring required actually goes down. Like in the sense, when you're teaching adults, you will have a more loose structure. Loose structure doesn't mean disorganized structure, well-planned loose structure, that is, and the control also kind of becomes lesser. So on one side, as the maturity and autonomy increases, the kind of instruction will be more decentralized. That's what it means. So in one shot, if you imagine that the difference, this is what it is, and there are certain specific differences, like let's take the aspect of dependence. When if it is pedagogy, the children are completely dependent on the teacher, on like what is being taught and how it is being taught and where and when, everything. So the dependence of the student to the teacher is very high. Whereas in adult learning, we need to be cognizant that adults are independent. They strive for autonomy and self-direction in learning, and learning is a cooperative endeavor there. It's a two-way interaction when it comes to adults. So why you need to be aware of these things is because you're shifting from teaching in a classroom teaching where majority of your time has been in the classroom teaching. Now you will be shifting to teaching adults. So it's important to know like how adults behave in a learning environment. This is just to keep in mind that there can arise conflicts, like attitudinal conflicts, like what we discussed, that they know everything and things like that. So you have to acknowledge their independence, you have to acknowledge their expertise, and be respectful of that. Now, let's take the aspect of resources for learning. So when it comes to a pedagogy state, the learner has few resources because they are new to the subject, and the teacher kind of designs the entire learning experience from the teacher's point of view, and also decides what gets passed on and how the knowledge is imparted. And when it comes to adults, we know that they are not empty slates. Even children are not empty blank slates for that matter, but what is written on a child's slate is much less than what is written on an adult's mental slate, right? Like, because the adults come with a lot of prior experience and a lot of prior knowledge. So you need to leverage that to make them learn new things. So that's very important. Also, the first point on dependence, if you look at it, they are more dependent, children are more dependent and adults are less dependent. It also tells the converse, like, if they are more dependent, then you have more authority on children. But if adults are less dependent, so you have less authority on that. So it is a converse of the authority factor there. Now, so that is dependence. And then when we discuss resources, and then also the motivations for learning, the reasons for learning. So in a pedagogy, when children are learning, what they usually, the logic is, okay, they are in grade 2 and they are learning because they want to be promoted to grade 3, right? But it's a very linear, progress that they want to achieve. Whereas when adults are learning, it's not like they are learning to progress to the next grade or anything. They are learning because they experience a need to know and perform. So there are two things. One, that something is lacking and I need to fill it, and something is not up to the mark and I need to improve it. So these two reasons should be there for teaching adults, like for adults to learn. So unless these two are established for the adults, it will be difficult to motivate them to learn. Then let's look at what else is different. Okay, focus in learning. Like when you're teaching children, you're more subjects centered. You want to cover the curriculum. You want to plan your assessments and everything to the curriculum. But when it is adult learning, here because you're teaching them a task or a competency, it's more problem centered. So you want them to solve the problem. And motivation level for children, it comes from external resources that usually parents, teachers, and sense of competition. These things keep them motivated. Whereas in andragogy, motivation should come from the internal sources that it should play on their sense of self-esteem, their confidence, the recognition that can come from successfully performing this thing. So if you're facilitating teachers to inculcate this best practices and assessments, you should talk to their sense of how their confidence will increase, how they can be recognized for their contribution. These are the things that you will want to play on. So look at all these things from the point of view of facilitators. What will help you to motivate them and make the environment more conducive for learning. Okay? So this is differentiating between andragogy and pedagogy. So what all these tells is that adult learning happens best when these are the factors. Can Deepa, can you read it? I would like to take a break from talking.
Sure. Yeah. Okay, so adult learning happens best when first they feel the need to learn. Second, they have some input into what, why, and how they learn. The third point is covered a little. Can you move the box? The video box. No, the end of the third point I can't read.
Oh, okay. Let me move the.
Yeah, the third point is the learning's content and processes have a meaningful relationship to the learner's past experience. Next, their experience is used as a learning resource. Next, what is to be learned relates to the individual's current life situation and task. The next one is they have as much autonomy as possible. Next, the learning climate minimizes anxiety and encourages freedom to experiment. The next one is their learning styles are taken into account. And the last, there is a cooperative learning climate.
Yeah, thank you, Deepa. So this kind of summarizes all that we talked about. Like, they need to feel the need to learn. So that is very key, and they should have a say in how they want the sessions to be. What their expectations are, and it should cater to their expectation. And another key thing is that it should be relevant to their professional life. And also, because we said that they come already with a lot of experience, we should use that experience. You should work on that experience as a resource and see how that experience can be channeled into new learning experiences. So this slide kind of summarizes all that we need to understand what's important when it comes to teaching, or I use the word teaching, but intention is to say facilitate learning experience for adults. Okay. Any questions so far on andragogy and pedagogy? Okay, I'll move to the next one. Okay, so now that we understood what is facilitation, and then we understood what is the difference between teaching young learners and adult learners, we also have to know a little bit of models, I would say mental models of teaching and learning. So what are the different teaching and learning styles? We'll just go through it a little bit fast. I won't take too much time on this. So the different learning styles according to some theory is like there are activist Activists are people who like to jump into the job and want to try out everything. And there are reflectors who like to actually, let's go like this, like anti-clockwise. Activists are like people who want to like immediately try out stuff. Theorists are people who want to know why they are doing it, not just, okay, you're telling me so I'm doing it. No, they want to know why and what is the evidence that it needs to be done in certain way. So they like to learn, they like to go step by step and understand the process of why it is done so. And pragmatists are people who will straight away ask you, what is the relevance of this? How can I apply this in my life, in my professional life, or whatever that is being taught? So they have a pragmatical approach. Reflectors are people who are like on the sidelines. They are learning by observing, then they are learning by reading, and then they are weighing all the observations they've made and the learnings they've made, and then they are putting it into action. So they are more like a hybrid kind of people. So these are the different learning styles. Okay, I had a small questionnaire on learning style, but I think I want to do the question review exercise. So once we do the question review exercise, we can come and try out this questionnaire. It will tell what kind of learning style you have. Okay, let me. So, okay. Just like there are learning styles, there are also teaching styles. One is expert. Expert means like who establishes that I am the expert and then I'm going to teach you now. Like, so there are advantages and disadvantages to this model because then there is a chance that the participants become a little little, I don't want to use the word suppressed, but little inhibited from answering or taking part, because then they feel, oh, he's the expert. What if what I'm saying is not correct? Or this is going to be trash. This is going to be criticized. So that fear can hold them from participating in an open mind. Authority is a person who, who has a status, and he clearly has a he has a particular design in which he will function, and he has a standard way of doing things. But here also there is a danger that, because he is an authority and he is following rules and regulations, then it can become a little rigid. That is one of the disadvantage. Everything has its own positive also, because the expert, you can be 100% sure that no, what he's saying is correct. So it's not that I'm talking only about disadvantages. So their knowledge itself is a big resource and a big plus point. The disadvantage there is that it can inhibit participants. Authority is a person who comes as, okay, I am the facilitator now, I'm the state appointed facilitator, so I'm kind of a, become an authoritarian figure. There, then people might become too formal there. And facilitator is a person who is, like I said, a guide on the side, who will, make it interactive, make it a two-way conversation, not exactly, demonstrate how something is being done, but you will guide them into making self-discovery on how something should be done. And then there is a fourth style of teaching, which is a delegator. So facilitator, what are the disadvantages of a facilitator? It's a very nice and very cooperative manner of learning, but then it can be challenging when there is like, when you're teaching when the number of participants is large, you cannot really be a facilitator where you have a chance to interact with all the participants. So there is a problem of scaling to the number of participants there. And who is a delegator? Delegator is somebody who wants, provide complete autonomy to the participants, and they say, they give the resources and say, now you go ahead, discover and do it. Okay. Many of the college projects are done by delegating. The downside to that is that, you know, the delegator is not there to give you inputs, expert inputs. So the absence of the delegator might, you know, have some negative impact on the group dynamics. So it's better to be aware. So why we are talking about learning style and teaching styles? Because there should be a good match, you know, between the participant style of learning and the facilitator style of teaching. So if there is a mismatch, if there is a mismatch between these two styles of teaching and learning, then you know, your sessions will not be very productive. So imagine a situation where a self-directed learner is matched with an authoritarian figure. So this shows the level of mismatch between you know, different types of teaching styles and learning styles. Okay. Then okay. So okay, till now we have gone into how to facilitate and what to be aware of when you're facilitating for adult learners, and what are the different teaching styles and learning styles, and how to, you know, you need to calibrate your teaching facilitating style to the majority of the participants' learning style. So you need to be like constantly kind of changing. You know, sometimes you go into a hybrid mode also, then be flexible, that sometimes you be an authoritarian figure and sometimes you're a, you know, you delegate. You can do that also, but you know, it's a very you know, fine skill. And that will not, when I say fine skill, doesn't mean that it's not an achievable skill. Definitely it can be achieved, and there are many facilitators who do a wonderful job of that. So what you need to do is adapt to the situation. If you see that majority of the participants are unengaged, it's better to, you know, do something to, you know, bring them back to focus. So just keep adapting and keep improvising. Think of yourself as a performer sometimes, and then you will know what to do. Okay, so now going into question rating exercise. So the first thing you will do, you remember if you have attended this workshop, the first thing we asked you to do was we gave you a bunch of questions and asked you to review the questions, right? Do you all remember that session, the workshop? No one remembers the question review exercise you did? We gave you a bunch of questions and asked you to review. Nobody remembers question review exercise?
Yeah, remember. Yeah. But actually, those memories have become fainted now.
Okay, okay. So, so as a facilitator, what you will be required to do is, see, suppose you imagine your first session, okay? You've got a group of teachers, a set of teachers to whom you're going to teach question making skills, right? So before making question making skills, you need to, you know, show them what they know about question making and what a quality of a question making, how to look at it in a very rigorous manner, in a very scientific manner. So how are you going to you know, do that? How are you going to do that? So that's why we introduced this question rating exercise, where you ask them to rate questions and then actually point out and ask them to, like, rationalize why they rated a question as 1 or 5, and then you know, then you have a discussion around it. So your first session with the teachers is going to be the question making exercise. So so how will you do that? Like, so if that is going to be your first session, how will you do that? So first of all, you need to have a bunch of questions, right, which address the different problems a question can have. Now you've gone through, I've reviewed so many of your questions now, so you know the kind of comments I give for the questions, right? So you can pull the raw form of a question, that is an unreviewed question, right? And you can keep the final approved version. So you can see what problems were fixed in your first draft of the question and how did that question come out. So if you have like 10 questions that are raw with different type of issues a question can have, and you put those questions in a sheet and ask them to rate and ask them to give an explanation for their rating. Do you remember you doing this review? Where you rated a question?
Yes,
yeah. So that is what you will be required to do in your first session. Right? So let us, so tomorrow, today's homework is going to be for you to make such a, that's why I think all of you have sent two questions each, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those will be, we will put them all together. I put all of them together and then we will have a discussion on each of the questions you have sent. But tomorrow for that to happen, let us have some discussion here on some questions. So I'm going to show you some questions one by one, and all of you have to give a rating and also explain why you've given that rating. Okay. You will have to focus more on this because these are sessions you are going to conduct live, and if there is a better way to do it, you should always do it in that way. What we are doing is just guiding you to the way we do it. Yeah. So can one of you read the passage?
Yes.
Okay. So she said,
I was named after Malalai of Mewar. Not my own. What is the proper noun? I am unable to pronounce that.
Malalai
exactly.
of Maiwand. Maiwand is a
Maiwand.
district in Afghanistan.
The greatest heroine of Afghanistan. The Pashtuns are a Pashtun. हाँ, ये भी सुना था न्यूज़ में. Pashtuns are a tribe of proud people split between Pakistan and Afghanistan. Malalai was the daughter of a shepherd in Maiwand when she was a teenager. Both her father and the man she was supposed to marry were among thousands of Afghans fighting against the British occupation of their country. Malalai went to the battlefield with the other women to tend the wounded and take them water. She saw their men were losing, and when the flag bearer failed, she lifted her white veil up. She lifted her white veil up high and marched onto the battlefield in front of the troops. The question is, in which part of Asia is Afghanistan located? East to west, north, or south?
How will you rate this question on a scale of 1 to 5?
So, madam, one is the best.
This
Five is the
No,
worst.
one is very low. Like suppose this question comes to you, you're saying I'm not going to approve this question, which means 1. If you're saying I'm going to this is a very good question, I'm going to approve it and give it a 5.
I will give it 0.
Okay.
1. Not 1.
Same, ma'am, same.
I will also give 1 bit because it is not related to the passage.
Irrelevant question.
Garima ma'am is also giving a 0. Okay. Others?
Yes, ma'am, 0 because there is no evidence in the passage for this kind of information.
Okay.
Where the Afghanistan is situated.
Okay. Amit sir?
Same here.
0. Mukesh sir?
Yes.
0.
Okay. So the question maker was arguing with me that, reading skill also involves a lot of general knowledge skill. So they should know it. So I was saying that, what is the relationship between this? How is this question testing reading comprehension? Whereas that person who made the question assumes that reading comprehension skill is equal to general knowledge skills. Right? Whereas and this question can be answered even without the passage. Why do you need a passage to answer this? Why do I need to read the entire passage to answer this question? So you're not testing any comprehension skills here. So the first thing to take care of and first thing to tell your teachers of the participants is to check whether the question is testing what it intends to test. Okay? So in the reading comprehension test, you should only test reading comprehension. This is something called construct validity. In the assessment industry, they call what is tested as a construct. What is being tested? Is it valid? Is this question valid in a reading comprehension test? So that is the first thing that you need to actually, stress upon a lot. Because many teachers, I feel that when they are pushed to make many questions, they kind of panic and they make these questions without realizing that they don't have to read a passage to answer this question. In some of my reviews also, I would have told no, somebody doesn't need to read a passage to answer this question. So it can be answered out of general knowledge or common sense. It's not a reading comprehension question. Okay, let's go to another question. Okay. Can one of you read the question? Joshi sir read it first time. Anybody
yes.
else can volunteer?
Now it is over to Mukesh sir. Actually, I would like to listen because today he is performing quite different from what he used to be. So I would like to listen from Mukesh sir.
Okay. So Mukesh
you,
sir, you can tag the next person. Okay, Mukesh sir, please. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Joshi sir. The title is Snow. Our first year in New York, we rented a small apartment with a Catholic school nearby, taught by the Sisters of Charity, hefty women in long black gowns and bonnets that made them look peculiar, like dolls in mourning. I liked them a lot, especially my grandmotherly fourth grade teacher, Sister Zoe. I had a lovely name, she said, and she had me teach the whole class how to pronounce it. Yolanda. As the only immigrant in my class, I was put in a special seat in the first row by the window, apart from the other children, so that Sister Zoe or Zoe?
Zoe, I think. Even I'm not very sure.
Okay, Zoe could tutor me without disturbing them. Slowly, she enunciated the new words I was to repeat: laundromat, cornflakes, subway, snow.
Yeah.
How
So
is Yolanda pronounced? And the options are Yolanda, Yolanda, Yolanda.
yeah. How will you rate this question? Mukesh sir, what will be the rating you give for this question?
Yeah, I'm taking some time.
Oh, okay.
I think I would rate 5.
You will rate it 5? What skill is it testing?
Sorry. I think it is testing the pronunciation, and the syllables are divided.
Okay. Anybody else?
Ma'am, it's a direct recalling mechanical type of question. And it's too easy, I think, for the readers to pick out the option.
Okay. What will you rate this as, ma'am? How will you rate this?
Ma'am, actually, we are giving such type of questions even now. But yeah, I will rate it one.
Okay. Okay. Joshi sir.
May I?
Yes, sir.
I would rate it very poor actually, because
Okay.
I don't see any testing objective in it. And the other thing, the stem of the question, we cannot be sure that the spelling of that name was Yolanda. There is no information in the paragraph. Only pronunciation is there. So the spelling can be different than the name of that girl. We cannot be sure.
Spelling is the same, no, in all the options.
No, I'm telling the spelling in the stem. So that is not there in the paragraph.
It's here, no, in the 4th line. Pronounce it Yolanda.
Then I pronounce it Yolanda. The pronunciation is there, but the spelling of the that name is not there.
So actually, what they mean to say is this is they are given the spelling and the pronunciation breaks also in that.
Okay, so the pronunciation break is there, but the spelling is not in the paragraph. So how can you be sure that the spelling is that of that particular name?
Oh, like that. Okay, but okay. Oh, okay. You're saying that the name they've given might not be the correct spelling.
Yes, it cannot be sure.
Okay.
That can be some other spelling, na?
Okay. Oh, that's a very fine point. But we are assuming that that is the spelling that they've given there.
How can we assume that? We can assume Y, W. We can assume anything because the pronunciation, phonetic pronunciation can differ.
Correct.
Each and every spelling.
Yeah, the diacritics might be different. That's true. Correct.
So that is why I have just rated it very poor.
Okay. Amit sir and Garima ma'am.
This was Amit actually.
Oh, okay. Joshi sir. Garima ma'am.
Yeah, actually, the pronunciation is given in the passage. So it actually we are testing. Questions should be on comprehension, but just reading only the pronunciation of the word Yolanda, he can definitely recognize, a learner can recognize that the same pronunciation is given in the options. So he will not use any application skills or understanding skills. He does not need here.
Correct.
And he will answer easily.
Correct.
So this is belongs to 1.
Okay.
For grade 1 students.
Oh, okay. Grade 1 question. Okay.
Ma'am, I would 3, because see, every time giving listening, every time giving understanding and application based question is not possible. Sometimes we give mechanical type of questions also. So I would give 3, and also what I think is that okay, it's a mechanical type of question and directly answer is given in the passage. Still, as it emphasizes on phonetic description, I mean the pronunciation. So that is also, it emphasizes a student to learn a pronunciation. So in that way, I would like to give 3 for this question.
Okay. So let me just take the first question which we saw was like testing what we intend to test. If it's reading comprehension, it has to test reading comprehension. For this question, somebody can argue this is a reading comprehension question, which we will say, okay, check. If you have like a checklist and you say, okay, is this an RC question? Yes, check. Now, is it a comprehension question? Somebody needs to read the question, yes. But is it a comprehension question, or can I choose the answer by just spotting the word in the passage?
Yes, ma'am. The
Right?
word is, yeah, pick me up, kind of.
So it's kind of word spotting. What you're asking for is word spotting. It's like saying, it's like another way of asking, has Yolanda, the correct answer, been mentioned in the passage? Like a visual match. So though it requires reading, it doesn't test comprehension as such. Now to answer Garima ma'am's question, we cannot have all application or understanding question. There should be some mechanical questions to balance out your understanding and application question. Then the question comes, even if you are testing a mechanical skill, is there some way to make it a question that doesn't test like word matching skill? You want to test that part of the text where she taught the class to pronounce Yolanda, but can we make it a mechanical skill, but not so mechanical that it almost tests like, are you dumb kind of a question? Can't you see it is there in the passage? We are just asking you to like look at the passage and choose the word that has been mentioned in the passage. So it should not be so dumbed down, the question, that it provides no challenge at all. Like, I'm not saying it should be challenging in terms of every question has to be understanding. Questions can be mechanical, but is there a way to make it not so mechanical? So what if we change the question to, what did Yolanda's class learn from her? Okay, pronunciation of her name. And if you look at other options also, you say new Cuban words, where she learned English words. So the child reading. So when you want to test reading comprehension and then your problems in comprehension, right? When you're testing for problems in comprehension, then you have distractors that is plausible. So the girl is learning new English words. So the child reading the passage might think, get confused between Cuban and English and could just choose A. So pronunciation of her name is the correct answer. Now the passage also says that she was made to sit separately and she was being taught separately. So some children might assume that she was a good student, the qualities of a good student. And then dolls is also mentioned in the third line. So making dolls. So even if you want to test a mechanical skill, it should not be so mechanical. It should not be very dumbed down. So it's important to test a skill that is worth understanding, not like some trivial minor detail. So how does it matter? Like, is that pronunciation of the word important in the comprehension? If a child does not answer the question correctly, does it say that the child has poor comprehension skill? I would say the child has poor reading skills itself, that they cannot even match a answer to the passage, right? So it's very important to bring these things out. First is test a skill that you intend to test, reading comprehension. Even in reading comprehension, please test a skill that is worth understanding. Especially in a summative exam, you cannot have these questions. We cannot justify it saying, yeah, it tests recall. It doesn't test recall. It tests much something lower than recall. Okay. Now let's go to the next question. It is based on the same passage. Can one of you read the question? Mukesh sir read the question. Mukesh sir, can you tag somebody to read the question?
Sure, ma'am. I think Pankaj sir.
Pankaj sir, are you back? Mukesh sir, can you tag somebody else? I think Pankaj sir is not around.
Ma'am. Amit sir, would you like to go?
Yes, surely. Thank you very much. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Mukesh sir. Okay. So London brought cornflakes, Sunday snow. what is the importance of these words? This option A, they signify things that would become a part of Yolanda's everyday life. B option, they are easy words that any new English learner can pick up very fast. C, these words stand for things that are very important elements of America's culture. D, these words were considered to be more important while teaching English to new learners. Thank you.
Okay. So all of you take a minute and think, how would you rate this question? First of all, I want you to rate the question and so give me why you rated it like that, and if there are any issues with the question. We'll take a minute to think about the question and the option. Okay. Amit Kumar ji. Hello, Amit ji.
Yes, ma'am. I'm here.
Any thoughts? What is your rating for this question?
I would say between somewhere around 2 and 3.
2 and 3, between 2 and 3. Anything you can tell about this question? Suppose you are discussing this question with your teachers. What will you ask them to think about, and how will you drive the discussion for this question?
Actually, okay, the author or the examiner is asking about the importance of these words, but the STEM is not designed properly. It should have what is the importance of these words in the above passage. Okay, because so STEM has to be corrected. And as far as my understanding is there, I don't think that any option is correct for me.
Okay.
So that is why, and I just leave the rest to the others, and they will guide me, especially Rashmi ma'am, Ram sir.
Okay. Yeah, we'll go through each one of them. Joshi sir, what do you think?
Actually, the question STEM is open-ended. Actually, what is the importance of these words? So without looking at the options, students can answer differently also. And one more thing is there, that the question has asked the importance of these words uh, from the point of view the given passage, and these words were taken by the teacher only for improving the pronunciation of the children, or pronunciation various words of English. So that is why there is no correct answer or related to that particular answer. So
Okay.
I will rate this only 1.
Okay. You are very rigorous standards. I appreciate that. Mukesh sir, can you have any thoughts on this question? How would you rate it?
I would rate it 1 also.
Okay.
I think there are multiple correct answers in this,
Okay.
in the options.
Yeah.
1.
Okay. Any new point you would like to add other than what Amit sir and Joshi sir said?
I think students may pick any one of them. It is not clearly, I think it's not clearly comprehended with the passage.
Okay.
It does not, I think it's not based on the content of the passage.
Oh, okay. Thank you, sir. Garima ma'am?
Reflective type of question.
Yeah. Garima ma'am?
I would give 1 mark for this question, because this is not directly related, or it is not based upon the comprehension of the student, rather than it is based on the student's imagination, or we can say thinking, what he thinks, and the thinking or the logic behind every option may vary student wise. So I don't think this is appropriate question to be asked for comprehension passage.
Sure. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Jayashri ma'am?
Ma'am, as everyone has said here, I will also go with a rating of 1. I think it could have become very, all the options are, we can be chosen by the students, and there is no point in framing the question because testing objective is not clear here. We are not getting a single, मतलब MCQ का जो point वो रहता objective, it's not being fulfilled here. We are not having one correct answer. So I think we can rephrase it and make very good application question.
Correct. So I'm extremely overjoyed by your answers, because it's very, very important to specify the task in the STEM. What are you looking for? The word importance is a very open-ended word. So something can be important for me, and something else can be important for Amit sir, right? So no answer can be defended. So as you all said, that the question STEM has to be reworded to say, in the context of the passage, why are the above words important? Right? So that is a very valid point. So what is the first check we do? Is it a reading comprehension question? Yes. Check. Is it a worth enough testing question? Yes, it is worth testing. Why are these words being taught and not the others being taught? Okay? So that also it checks the second quality also. Now, when it comes to third quality, is the question unambiguous? Okay, so So the answer should be indisputable. It should be accurate. People should not be able to justify each option from their point of view. So it's very important to narrow the step. And also there's one more issue. If you see option C and D, right? So the question asks, what is the importance of these words, right? If you see option C and D, it repeats the word important. Now, what it is actually doing is it is psychologically tricking the child to concentrate on C and D. Though the child is now confused, now the child is looking at the question and saying, okay, important from what point of view am I being asked? Important and from what point of view? Now, even, okay, then the child decides, okay, let me look at the options and try to eliminate. Now, C and D have the word important, so it is attracting more attention. So what this question is doing is indirectly tricking the child to concentrate more on the wrong options. Though A is the correct option, the intended correct option, because Yolanda is a Cuban refugee. She's come into America and she's adjusting to the American way of life. And these things like laundry, conflicts, subway, snow will be frequently used in the coming years of her life. So she needs to, be acquainted with those words. So that's why the words are important. But because the question doesn't say in what context it is important, any of them can be correct. But then wait, C and D have the word important. Now let me check them out. And maybe if I check one of those, it might be correct. Let me guess. So it's a very tricky question. So when you are talking as a facilitator to your teachers, you should, bring out this point as, is this indisputable? Are there multiple correct answers? Is the question tricky? These are the factors that you need to discuss with your teachers and bring them out. Okay. Now let's go to how much more time do we have? We have another 2 minutes, but can I take another 5 minutes? It's okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. So the point related to this indisputable answer is, so suppose you have a question and you cover all the options. Okay, I don't show you the options. The student should be able to, come up with the answer in the mind, and that answer should be there in one of the options. So now in this question, if I cover all the options, there can be 100 options that I can think of that can be correct. Right? So that's why we say cover the options rule. So when you get a question, cover the options and see whether you can answer the question or not. If you cannot answer the question, if there are like innumerable correct answers, you say, no, this is a tricky question. We should fine tune the STEM and make it more specific. Okay. What? Any questions? Is it clear?
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah. Now, when we go to questions, we don't, we choose, like we had a discussion on distractors. How should the distractors be? Like, they should not be too close. At the same time, they, they should not be so like, away from each other that, there's a problem with the distractors. So when you design the distractors, you should tell them that, you should make the distractors trap some kind of a reading error. So if you see this question based on the first paragraph, how must Yolanda have felt in her initial days of the new school? So now when a child reads the question and has not read the passage very well, they will go with their prior knowledge. What is their prior knowledge? In a new school, when a child joins, they will be either eager or excited, or they will be fearful. Right? But actually what Yolanda is feeling in that passage as a new student is she's feeling lonely and different because she is a Cuban refugee. So now if some child, works with their prior knowledge and not from the information, after reading the passage, they could easily go for A or C. So you can see out of the 9,000 or almost 9,000 students who answered this question, 37% have chosen the correct answer, but then you can see like 1/3 of the population have chosen A based on their prior knowledge. So you should introduce distractors that are plausible. When I say plausible, that it should be attractive enough for the child to pick it up. Some children feel very scared on the first day. So some kids, those kids will pick up C. So proud and pampered, nobody has gone, sorry, proud and pampered, why? Because, when you read the passage, that it says that the teacher gave her a separate seat and, she wanted to give her extra attention. So they might interpret it as proud and pampered. But as the passage as a whole tells that Yolanda is actually feeling lonely and different. So it's very important to tell your participants that look for distractors that are plausible and that works on actual reading comprehension errors. Okay, this I will go through it fast. What is a simile versus which of these sentences uses a simile? So if you see the first question, it is testing a academic term recall. So in a summative exam, look for competencies. Look to test competencies and not knowledge recall, right? So instead of asking what is a simile, you can ask which of these sentences uses a simile. I don't have to tell you this because all of you have created a lot of questions now, and all of you I feel are like very up there now to you can actually go and teach. I am very confident that all of you can do a great job of it. So, ask questions that are interesting and stimulating for thinking skills. Okay. Now, let me quickly go through the question because these are points when it comes to best practices. The most important things to take care of is whether it is worth testing, whether it's actually testing comprehension, and whether what is being tested is indisputably correct, and those things. Okay. Now, when it comes to like grammar questions and stuff, here we have context. If you read the context, the muse dash draw the Germans' attention while escaping because they had their voice boxes removed. So we always keep telling, like, even if it's a grammar question context, make the context a little interesting. But then it should not be so interesting and so distressing at the same time. Right? It is this context here where the mules, the donkeys, they had their voice boxes removed. It is so painful to even imagine the context. Right? This is an actual question that had come up. One of our question makers had made. So because they came and said, "Oh, you only told make it interesting," but then I didn't tell like make it so interesting that it like disturbs the child, because the child is in an exam taking situation. It should not evoke such strong emotions in the child. Okay. Can one of you read the question and tell me what the issue is? Rajshri ma'am, can I request?
Yes, ma'am. Which one? The first one?
The second one.
Second one. Okay. Atik scored 2 boundaries and no other run in his first over. Simon scored a sixer and no other runs in his first over. From this, we can say that Atik scored blank Simons. Which of the following can be used to complete the sentence correctly? A was less than, B was more than, C equal to, D none of the above. Ma'am, I would say it's a tricky question. Reading load, a lot of reading load is there for the student. Yeah.
What
reasoning is required here. Mathematic calculation is there, I think.
Even to be able to do mathematical calculation, what is required? Even if some kid is good at mathematical calculation, what else is required?
About how many scores, how many runs are there in touching the boundaries, and about six. A person should know everything about cricket.
Yes. What we call this is it's a biased question, because it favors students who are cricket literate, who have knowledge on what is a boundary, what is a sixer, and all those things. So this is a very biased context. Of course, the option none of the above is also a problem here. But more important is that we should avoid contexts which require a very specific knowledge of a area. Okay. This one is very important. Avoid personal pronouns. When it's not a CR question, constructed free response question. You don't use the word you. What do you think, Masha, or whatever? Because any option can be correct. Because the child will say, "Oh, they're asking me what I think." So yeah, I think this is correct. Okay. So when you are making when you're doing the question rating exercise, the two things that is very important is the kind of questions you pick up for the exercise. Right? You pick up questions which have like problems at the question level itself. That it's not a good question to test because it's not a reading comprehension, or it doesn't test that skill what you want to test, and it's not a worthy idea to test. It is a wrong idea to test. So at the question level itself, like the question idea level itself, and then you go into the question as to what are the things to be taken care of. So you should have a good mix of such questions when you're preparing your question writing exercise. Okay. So I think anyway, this is about avoiding absurd wrong options. That's okay. I think you know. So key characteristics of a good question: test what it intends to test, test core understanding, is indisputable, stimulates thinking, provides good insights into learning misconceptions and stuff, is exclusive and focused in the sense that don't test the same idea again and again. Then what are the things that you should take care of inside a question? That it should be clear and concise, it should be reader friendly, it should be engaging but not distracting, there should be sufficient content to answer, there's no bias, sensitivity issues, taboos. Then then you go to the other side where you see whether the question can be answered using non-comprehension skills, like are there clues to the right answer, are there absurd options, are the options homogeneous, is anything standing out, those kind of stuff. Okay, so these are the things that you need to discuss with them about questions. It's very critical that when they have come for a question making workshop, they should take away some important points. Okay. And also stress that if poorly made questions will make the test unreliable, not valid, and not fair. These points we can go through if it's not clear later. Okay. So homework for the day. I think all of you have sent the questions, right? So all the questions you have sent will be put up tomorrow for discussion. So we will like simulate a question rating exercise discussion session tomorrow. Okay. So that's all for day one. Thank you, everyone.
Ma'am, just a minute.
Yes.
How many questions should we prepare for this exercise?
I think you already prepared and sent to Bharti. No, that day did you all share in this thing, WhatsApp?
So no need to make questions now.
I hope those questions you have sent has that points which we can discuss.
Madam, actually this was there on the last slide, that participants will prepare the questions, question rating exercise for day 2. So for that I am asking.
So Deepa.
Yes.
So the question.
Actually, yesterday we have sent two questions. And that those questions will be used for tomorrow's workshop. So today we are not going to prepare any question.
Correct.
Garima ma'am.
So I will compile all the questions and make it as a question rating exercise. Then all of you will, from tomorrow, I will not be talking anything. Okay, so you will all be conducting you will be simulating a participant facilitator kind of a environment. Okay, and I will be on the side to guide you all. Okay. Any other questions for today?
Thank you.
I apologize for exceeding by 10 minutes of the time. If you have any other questions, you can put it on the WhatsApp group and I will try to answer them. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am. That's good
Thank you,
choice.
sir. Thank you. Thank you so much. We can all leave. Please feel free to leave.